I'm not really sure where to start because it's a long story. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. For those that are new here, my name is Sharice and this is Reese DIY. My channel is all about learning how to make things, craft things, sew things, make cool things with your hands, and start your handmade business or take your handmade business to the next level if that's what you're interested in. So if you haven't already, make sure that you click the subscribe button, click the notification bell so you get notifications about all of the videos that I have coming out, and share this video with somebody that needs to watch it. So I've been wanting to do this every year, but then I always wait too long and I don't get the video up. But I wanted to do a story about my adoption story. My husband and I are adoptive parents, and we have 7 adopted children. All of our children are adopted, and I wanted to share that story with you. So if you've ever thought about adoption, you're just curious about adoption, or whatever reason why you're here, let's go. Soon after we got married, my husband and I got married soon after college, like right after graduation almost from college. And we were having a hard time conceiving. I don't even know that we were trying, but I don't think we were trying, but it just didn't happen. And I always had concerns because I had irregular periods. So when I was in high school, like I was also an athlete, so I thought that maybe that's why I was having irregular periods. And that could be true also, but it became more noticeable. And so soon after we got married, I wasn't getting pregnant, but I really wasn't trying to either. And then I started having heavy bleeding, like super heavy bleeding. And it went from like 7 days to weeks to months of nonstop bleeding. And so I would go to different doctors and they didn't know what it was or how to fix it. Nobody really knew what it was. And then I finally went to a doctor and I was diagnosed with polycystic ovarian syndrome. And they weren't sure that that was the cause of the bleeding that I was having, but that was an issue. That was an issue in and of itself. And so when I got that diagnosis, I mean, I'm not going to go into PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, in this video, maybe in another video, but you guys can look that up. Basically, my ovaries create eggs, and the eggs would all have cysts on them. So they weren't able to develop properly, and I wasn't able to conceive. So I was panicked, and I remember we went to a fertility specialist. I don't remember how we found the fertility specialist. I don't know if I wanted to say my mom recommended this fertility specialist, but we went and we loved the doctor. We just hit it off. We had great chemistry. My husband and I and the doctor, we really got along. We started going to this fertility doctor, and he was able to tell me more about how my body worked and everything. And I remember being in the car after our first visit. It was me, my husband, and my mom, and I just had this feeling, and now I recognize that was the Holy Spirit, but at the time I didn't know that the Lord was speaking to me like that, so I just didn't know. But I remember saying in the car, like, what if the Lord doesn't want me to do this like this? And then I just kind of did away with that. And my mom was like, we got to do something. Like, she was all panicked. And I felt like I was panicked too, because I was young and I felt like I had done things the right way. I had gotten married. Like, next step is for us to have babies. And I just felt so bad. I felt like none of this is my husband's fault. And now, you know, his dream is to have children too. And my dream is to have children. And I'm just messing it up for everybody. So just panicked and just went forward with this fertility plan. And so because my situation was really complicated, like they couldn't stop the bleeding, even as I was visiting the fertility specialist, it was really hard for them to stop this bleeding. It was just nonstop bleeding. Like I was anemic, everything. And by the time we left there, this was a 2-year journey, and we'll have to do a whole nother video about infertility and the fertility clinic. But after the 2-year journey there, we had 2 miscarriages, and it was the first time I was pregnant with twins, the second time I was pregnant with triplets. We were going every single day to the doctor. I just remember I had really good insurance because I was working for the county at the time. But even still, I believe it was like a $40 copay every time we went. We were a young couple. It was like a $40 copay every time we went, and it was $50 to $100 for like medicines a day on top of that. And I was taking a cocktail of 14 pills a day And at the end, I remember I was taking 2 insulin shots in my stomach a day with like the little insulin, the short insulin needles. But then my husband was having to give me an injection every day. And the needle was like this long. It's about this long in my hip. And that was about the end of it, because he is not a nurse. And that was just too much. It was too much. That was a really, really painful shot. And he had to do it just right so that it wouldn't hurt too bad, and so that it would actually take, because, you know, your hip, it was like kind of like a butt shot. And, you know, you have a really strong muscle back there. And that was just too much. And so after the second miscarriage, I was just kind of like, this is not for, I just didn't want to keep doing that. Like, it just took the joy out of trying to conceive, like, in general. Like, it was just everything about it was just miserable and draining. Like, we had 2 miscarriages. It was just too much. And so my husband and I talked about it, and we just decided that this was not what we wanted to keep doing for right now. And I remember telling my doctor in that last visit that we just didn't want to do this anymore. And he was like, well, you'll never be able to birth children without medical intervention. And I was like, well, it is what it is, because I just really believed at that time, and I still do, that if the Lord wanted us to birth children, that we could do that. And y'all don't have to start praying or anything, because we're good. We have 7 kids, so we're good. But I do believe that with God, all things are possible. And for whatever reason at that time, we just didn't conceive.